hey, fancy seeing you here. The universe has led you to the hashtag NoFiltHer podcast, emphasis on the capital H-E-R. I'm your host, Madeline Stewart, and I'm so glad to have your unique perspective tuning in today. I'm on a mission to discover what it means to be a woman, unapologetically, no filter needed. In a world where 7 in 10 girls believe they're not good enough, I've created this space to inspire women to live in alignment with their true purpose in life. The important questions have gotten lost in a media-distracted world, but it's time for us to choose collaboration over competition and dig deep into our unique purpose, passion, and identity as women so we can choose to perform at our peak mental state with radical integrity. If you're ready to shatter glass ceilings and show up as the leader and champion you were made to be, then grab your notebook and let's make the change today. You were made for such a time as this. Today on the show, I have with me Brette Sims. She is an artist, a full-on icon, and a self-love advocate. She is also the founder of STUK Designs, which stands for Strong, Talented, United, and Knowledgeable. And STUK Designs is a community of women who promote self-love and creativity to underserved girls of color globally through arts-driven programming and a clothing brand. So Brette, yes, she's even like sporting it today. She looks absolutely precious. I'm so excited to have you on. I mean, obviously you're like a sister to me now.
Yes, queen.
Yes, people just need to get to know all about you and the absolute positivity and light that you radiate. So first of all, Brette, I guess my first question is, what makes you that girl? Because you are the definition of that girl to me, but how do you in your everyday just choose to love, support, give back, and speak your truth? And we can go from there.
Yeah. Okay. How am I that girl? I mean, I guess maybe because I do all the things. I wear many hats, and I feel like being that girl is being multidimensional and like owning that, because I think in the past, a lot of women feared being multidimensional because like, oh, if I'm too smart, maybe he won't like me, or if I'm too this, this, whatever. But it's like now we can do all the things, and we can, be all that we want to be. But also I feel like a lot of it, it's not really my choice. It's like a calling. It's a higher calling. It's calling from God. Like, it's not really my, like when I do things, or when I have to like just post a blog piece or a podcast or something like that, it's really like a higher calling that I have for the collective, for the collective of women, during this time. And yeah, so a lot of it is beyond me. It's bigger than me. But I just do what I can, and I try to stay as positive as possible, because like I know how it feels to be stuck in a downward spiral, like of just like doubting yourself, and that just pulls everything down and creates more lack and more anxiety or depression or whatever it may be. So yeah, I mean, and I'm almost positive the fact that like I don't really even think that toxic positivity is necessarily, well, I think it can be a thing, but I don't really think it should be some hardcore, social thing that we're really pushing forward, because like in the darkest times, like who cares? Like just any kind of positivity.
Be the light.
Like who cares? If it's what is too positive? Like I don't understand that. Like I don't understand how anybody can be too positive or too much. One of our sponsors, the Nuvita founder, Amanda, I made this post, and she was just like, people always told me that I was like too much, too optimistic, too this, too that, too energetic, too, she's an Aries and very like hyper and active. And I don't even know how she does all the things that she does. It's incredible. But like, yeah, that really inspired me too, because I was like, yeah, you know what? Everybody's always told me that I'm too much. I'm too this. I talk too much. I'm too, like sugary happy or this or that. But it's like, people who are, have this light, have the inner positivity, like they've been through darkness, and that's how they have so much light. That's how I have so much light, and so I think before we judge toxic positivity, before we judge, women for being quote unquote overly positive or overly optimistic, or light workers, we have to, realize that you have to walk through a lot of darkness to get to that point of light.
Absolutely. And speaking on walking through that darkness, I know that that was one of your reasons for starting STUK Designs. And I would just love for you to tell us a bit about that story, not only like what is it like to create a nonprofit from the ground up, but why STUK, and why do you continue doing what you do today?
Yeah. So yeah, it was, man, my story. Where do I even begin?
Story.
But like, yeah, so I basically, I started in college, senior thesis. But then it was like after I graduated in a deep recession, which oddly enough very much mirrors this time right now, and I was like, well, what do I do? I don't have nobody. I even when I go through my emails right now, I can look at my old emails from that time, and I don't even know how many jobs I've applied to. There might have been like 500, 600 just emails, straight emails of like me trying to get work after I graduated. Mm-hmm. And I actually did land a dream job, but only for a bit. And it was at this clothing warehouse company, and it was like this wholesale clothing, and that's where I learned how to design.
I didn't know that part of your story.
Yeah, I forgot about it just till now.
It's all coming back to me.
I just never really I don't know. I forget that it's a part of it. But yeah, so I worked there, and I was assistant to the creative director, who kind of became my mentor, and she was obsessed with, my art, and she was like, these need to be on t-shirts, and we should make a clothing line, and we should pitch it, to like Macy's, to stores. And so that happened. I made a whole juniors clothing line with the STUK girls, and we pitched it to like Macy's, to Nordstrom's. It went over extremely well. It was going to be in stores, but plot twist, because life happens that way sometimes. The owner of the wholesale company, I went in one day after all this good news, and it was just so dead. It was like closed that day. I came back, and then I got the news that his daughter had been shot at a party in the head. It was like, gang related. And he was so heartbroken. He just couldn't continue. He was distraught. And so he just had to close the company. And so I had this whole collection, and I didn't know what to do with it. So I was like, well, I guess I just have to start, just do my own thing, because there's no other option. And so I started building up the first STUK collection that way. Started out as a clothing brand, just kind of to uplift women, to add positivity. They're like wearable pieces of art, a lot of the clothing pieces. I actually added some of our classic designs back into the shop. But they're, really one of a kind, like statement art pieces, but like wearable. And all of the STUK illustrations are embedded with affirmations, and just kind of, I grew up in, not the most positive environment, and nobody really was like positive around me, and had no one to affirm me. I had no one to like say, yeah, you should do that. Like nobody ever told me that I could do anything that I'm doing, and even to this day, like in my family, it's just not that way. And so I just had to find ways to affirm myself. And I realized oh yeah, like if I put affirmations on illustrations, like if they're pillows, or if they're mugs, or if they're around your home, it's like they're reminders to you, to uplift you, to remind you of your own soul, and like what's important to you, and to like boost you even when you might not think about it. Because like I'm looking across the room right now actually, and I have a pillow. It says, be patient even when you can't see the big picture. And sometimes when you just like are looking at things, it's like you don't realize that you need to hear that at that moment, but just like that's how the universe works sometimes. And that's why I think STUK merch is so powerful. And why ultimately I want to get it to underserved girls and underserved girls of color, and underserved girls in Ghana and India, and girls who really just have never had new clothes before, don't have the opportunity to get new things. So yeah, that's kind of it. And then like how else where did I go from there? So like, just kind of being in a recession, I was like, well, what do I do now? I have all these t-shirts and I just don't know what to do. Like I have no real support. I don't know what to do. So I just kind of like was like, all right, well, let's just flow with life and see what happens. And so I eventually started collaborating with friends that I knew from high school. One friend, she was so nice, and she like helped me with a website, and she would shoot all of my merch, and we did our first lookbook shoot, and then just started slowly getting rolling. But along the way, there were just so many setbacks, and that's why I always that's why it's called STUK, because, and a play on words, because yes, I'm always strong, talented, I believe in unity and knowledge, but like along the journey, it's really hard sometimes. It's not easy. And at one point, all my t-shirts actually got stolen out of the trunk of my car from in front of my house. And that was wild. So I had to start all over. And so my whole career was like, like failure. Okay, got to pick myself back up, start again.
Yeah.
All right, God. All right, I got to do it again. Now do it again. And then, but every time that you like get back up and do it again and do it again, you get stronger. Yeah. So I just had all of these setbacks, all of these like just calamities happen along the way, and just the way that society was at the time. No one was talking about self-love. No one was talking about spirituality. Like you couldn't mention like God and business at the same time, really. Like it just didn't really, and unless it was like a church,
and
it's just like
now, like it's still kind of woo-woo, but that's how we function. It's like God at the head of all of this.
Yes, because like I don't think you can really chop it really up to anything else, because after no, you just can't. And I think that that's the only way that I've been able to like, keep getting back up, or like having the stamina to do it, because it's just like, it's a purpose that's higher than me. And I know that because of all that I went through, and because of like how dark I felt and how, hard it was to pick myself up or whatever, that I don't want other women to have to go through this. And it like, it just breaks my heart when I have to see like other girls, especially in Ghana, like when I went and traveled to Ghana to do our STUK mural, just seeing the girls suffering in such poverty. And it just like, it breaks my heart. Like even when I returned, like I just kind of went into like a little bit of a depression, because I was like, this just has to change. We need change. Girls need more opportunities, and we need protection. Artists need more opportunities. Artists need protection, because it's like society is trying to create no room for us to thrive. And we're going the opposite way. But so basically I just kept going, like when things would fall apart or whatever, I would just figure it out and keep going. And I had a lot of amazing women help me along the way, and just contribute, what they could to it. And then progressively, it just built and built and built. But like, I literally didn't have any resources. I had no money. Like I didn't have, like after college, it was just kind of radio silence in the career world. And this was for me and my friends. Like nobody had jobs. And so we would just hang out and we would just be creatives. And that's how I think it did thrive and flourish to like what it is now, because it has that freedom about it. It has that vibrancy about it, because it was like, we just didn't have the opportunities. So we're like, okay, well, let's just enjoy it. Let's just enjoy the present moment and have fun creating and pouring into people and pouring into ourselves, and and eventually build it up. And so I started out just putting my friends on the blog and illustrating my friends who inspired me. And then the community built up just because of that, really. but it's been a huge journey. And then, like it started out definitely as a clothing brand, but I always knew that full circle it would become a nonprofit. I thought that would really happen when I was like, I don't know, like 45 or something. And I don't know, it's like a weird age, but I just thought it was like later in my life. I didn't think it would be at this time, but that I was called after Ghana to start the nonprofit, started as a nonprofit, because I just couldn't shake that they just need help. They needed so much help. And then I knew that so many other girls did too. So that's kind of how it evolved into the nonprofit that it is now. But, success is not linear. And it's just like my path went up, down, sideways, diagonal, and every which way. And I feel like it's just now kind of stabilizing out, but just due to the consistency, I've put in over about like 10 years, and due to also just the consistency of other women too, who poured into it as well. So yeah, that's kind of the story of STUK-ish, if I can paraphrase it. I've never paraphrased it that much before, but yeah.
That was fantastic. It's such a huge story. And like, I love that concept of nothing is linear, and especially this doesn't only apply to like your journey through figuring out what you're going to do through a recession, but also through a pandemic. Like, I graduated undergrad in 2020 in the middle of the pandemic, and we were like, okay, we don't even know what's going to come about tomorrow, or if the prospect of a job ever is going to be a thing,
But the thing about that is, when you don't know like what can happen tomorrow, it almost like forces you to have to be present and have to be aware and have to have like just more consciousness to what you're doing and what you're creating. Like when you have to build in adversity, and when you have to build in hard times, so it just makes it even stronger, I think. And you came on when we had the huge pivot during the pandemic and everything, and we've literally like been pivoting, I feel like, ever since, and are finally like, we're on stable ground again. But it's been quite a journey in figuring out like, okay, times are changing, what works best for people. Times are changing, what app is most easy for people to access our art courses, or what is going to draw people most to our blog right now. What are people, what do people's souls need to hear right now? Because that's what STUK as a clothing brand and also as a nonprofit is really about, like pouring into the souls of people and bringing people back home to themselves, because so many people are just lost right now and don't know like which way is up, because they really haven't grounded themselves in self-love. And self-love is grounding. I think it's the highest form of protection there is. I definitely would have not been alive without it, to this day. So it's imperative, and it baffles me that like it's not like in a massive way pushed, like for I don't understand. I still don't understand. I don't even understand why it's something we need to advocate for, honestly. But hey, here we are.
Why it's not more natural. And I guess my question going off of that is, obviously self-love for us is at the center of what we do. I mean, I even have a t-shirt that says self-love first. You have one that says do you. And it's kind of been like a buzzword topic. It's like it's like a
trend
word, but how do you think like public perception of self-love needs to change going ahead?
Well, I think I could take it from my own experience with like my journey of self-love. I think for a while I was very like behind the scenes of my company, because you could not talk about self-love like that. It was just like, if you can have like t-shirts maybe that say something about it, but if like you come out and say like, yes, I love myself, like way back when, people were just like, what?
She's cocky, like
Get it. So I had to do a lot of behind the scenes stuff, but like, so there's this fear around it and around public perception of what will happen when you really do stand up in that self-love. Because when you do really fully own your self-love and stand up in that self-love, everything really does have to change in your life. Because like, relationships where you weren't in alignment with self-love have to either fall away, go into a new, a balance shift, change. or in that, like if you have a job, that you don't really like, that needs to shift, change, because loving yourself is loving everything you do. It's loving the people you're around, it's loving the community you're around, it's loving what you do every second of every day, and being intentional with that love every second of every day, because there are no ordinary moments. Like everything is, important. And it's
and what people don't understand about that too is it's a part of the ego that needs to absolutely be destroyed. It's like subconscious.
Right. Yeah. And so so that's what it is. Like, I think in The Power of Now, I think it was The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle's book. But he talks about that a lot. And
we'll have to link that one in the show notes, because it's fantastic.
Yeah. And it's just like, he said that the ego is most threatened by peace. And self-love is peace, like we are at peace when we have self-love, and that agitates the ego. And so the ego, people driven by ego, will try to do anything to like push, pull, because what it is, it's calling them to like, are you walking in self-love? And then if you're not, it feels almost like a threat to your ego if you're not. Like it's a weird thing, but it's like it's just like a human nature thing that we all have, we all have ego. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but you have to kind of die to the ego every day, and you have to manage it. You have to be aware of it. You have to watch your thoughts, be the observer of your thoughts. You can't just like let it run you. You got to pull out your ego when you need to pull it out. Like, like you don't need to use it most of the time. Just pull it out your purse when you need to go to this amazing event, when you need to advocate for something really important and you need to get your voice heard. But, otherwise you can be in peace. And I think that's why it's been so, just this process of like this campaign, like this stuff like that we've been through as a company, it like literally makes no sense, because everything, like we are so organized, so well put together. Our board is fire, our team is fire, everything is great. But like people just have this like just resistance,
aversion
to self-love, to what it is, because it pushes them to address themselves. And people prefer to run from themselves. And I also think, though, that, it is rare for people to genuinely care about other people. You have to, I think, have gone through something, have gone through your, own dark night of the soul to understand that like helping another is in turn helping yourself, because we are all connected. And that's why the U in STUK stands for united. I believe in unity. I believe that, we are all stronger together. But like, the ego definitely creates division and separation. And I think that the sickness and the affliction of like society right now is just like that ego driven mentality. A lot of people don't even know that they're completely run by their thoughts at this point, which is really 100%. Scary. And which is why we always need to, like meditate and have just like the protection of self-love before kind of entering into the world and engaging with people, because your energy can be sucked, you gotta protect it.
It really can. And honestly, like that thought of not knowing that you're acting out of your ego is such a threat to us being able to blossom into the person that we're meant to be. And earlier, before we started the podcast, we had a conversation about the general energy of the relationships between women.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, from your perspective, you also went to an all-girls high school, and you know what that was like. You can speak to that a little bit, but how do you think that women in particular could benefit from self-love in their relationships with other women? How can that transform them?
Well, in all ways, but most specifically, I think the competition/jealousy factor, because when you are in abundant self-love, you realize that competition is truly illusion, and that the only, like, you are only like people are only a mirror to you. Like we have this relationship because we are aligned. Like, these are our passions are aligned. We're aligned, mind, body, soul, with like our purpose and what we want to do, and then you attract like people. But if you are coming from a low vibration, you can attract that sometimes, which I have. But I think that that it's, I don't know, we're in such like an interesting time in history, and it's just like because of the state of like the economy and everything, you know, there's just this greed and this competition and this rush mentality. And you really need to kind of step back. And I'm going to emphasize meditation again. And, you know, when you get into that space of self-love, it's just like there's this clarity that's like, wait, you know, there's no real competition out here. Like the only, Eckhart Tolle says again, like I'm going to just keep referencing, he's always just like, you know, whatever the world is withholding from you, you know, like you are withholding from the world. Like it's not about other people. It's not about like this person being higher than you or whatever. It's a lot about our own fears getting on our way. Like we are our own, you know, we can be our own best friends and our own worst enemies. We can be our problems and we can be our solutions. Yeah. But like, you know, it's just like women have this, it's social media, this comparison, which creates jealousy, which creates this competition. Mm-hmm. And I think that competition is completely ridiculous. I think that it's just, it doesn't even make sense to me. And going to all girls high school, I never really, I don't know. My group of friends, we weren't really like that. Like we had a really great, you know, friendships, and I had like a clique, a lunch clique, and we would do, you know, always eat lunch together, always do everything together, and we had a really great relationship. Mm-hmm. Things got weird though after high school, let me tell you, after the bubble of the all girls world went away, you know, things got a little strange. So my high school clique, my friends, we always would have a annual brunch, and we would catch up, you know, it was great. But one year in particular, when I was just really elevating with STUK, and I had like a first big event and everything, I was unable to make one of their baby showers, and I felt horrible, you know, because I really wanted to do it, but like, you know, I need to like survive, and I need to run my company. So I'm sorry, but I can't be there.
You're an entrepreneur at the end of the day. It takes a lot of sacrifice.
So, but she was so like, it was such a big deal. But then to her, I could feel that it was a big deal energetically, but she told me it wasn't a big deal at all. She was like, it's fine. No, it's all good. Like, whatever. And then, you know, as time went on, I felt the energy, and I was like, stuff is weird. Something's weird, something's off. But I was like, whatever, let's just keep going. So we always had a group chat or whatever. And then, you know, it came time for our annual brunch. And I was like, okay, great. You know, and it was in the group chat. And I was like, oh, all right. Well, I know that she'll, you know, put it in when it's time for us to have brunch or whatever. And then she made another group chat excluding me and put the plans for the brunch. And I wasn't invited and didn't know about it until they posted on social media, until they posted on Instagram. And then they made hashtags like only married and kids, or kids only, or stuff like that, because I was the only friend who was at the time not either like engaged, married, or had a kid, either like variation of that. And so they were like hashtagging those things like only kids are married, only blah blah blah. And it's just like, I was just like, is this real?
Are like, we adults?
And so, you know, when such catty weird things happen with women, I don't know. I just, maybe because like I'm an air sign. I don't know. I just like, I can detach from it very easily when there's shady behavior. I'm just like, no, I'm not dealing with this.
It's just not in your nature, Brette. Like you're such an aligned person, and that just like radiates from you. But truly, it's like, you know, you have to do that inner work to be able to have those meaningful relationships like that. And honestly, at the end of the day, it's only hurting them.
Really, it's bad. It's really sad. You know, and so those friendships kind of, well, some of them dwindled. There was like, it was weird. It was so weird, the situation, because like some of the girls, like 3 of the girls knew what was happening and that I was excluded purposely, but like 2 of them didn't and were super confused. Like, why isn't Brette here? So they're still my friends.
Yeah, they're like, we miss Brette.
And you know, one's a board member actually. So, so that's great. But you know, it's just, it got strange, but these situations just happen. And I think you can't take things personally. And I mean, the only thing that frustrates me when they happen is just like, I'm just like, why is this still happening? Why are we shaming women for unconventional choices and living? Like, okay, I don't have a kid right now. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Like, who cares? Why do I need to be excluded for that? And like, why do I need to be excluded from making my own life choices? Like, why can't having your first event launch of your company be as much of a celebration as a baby shower? Because it was, but nobody celebrated me. Nobody ever congratulated me. Like, nobody, they never said anything. They just weren't even supportive.
That is so funny, because that reminds me of a time when one of my friends was like starting her own blog, and I told her, it would be amazing clickbait if you put as the headline, "I'm having a baby." Right? She's like, has no intentions of ever having kids.
Yeah.
And she's like, you know what? That's brilliant. And it got so much traction.
Yeah.
But it's like, you should be having like a baby shower for your business, because that's amazing.
Right. Like, I've had nobody's ever celebrated like anything really that I've ever done, like in that kind of way, business wise. And
you don't mean ever. Like, I'm celebrating you right now, Brette.
Well, yes, no. I mean, like, actually, I meant like a celebration, like a party, like, yeah. But that, it will happen, obviously. But like, it's just interesting, the things as women that we choose to celebrate, the things as women that we choose to shame each other for and guilt each other for. Like, how dare she guilt me for not being at a baby shower? Like, why would I not want to be there? Like, I obviously want to be there, but it's like, I can't, sometimes things don't align. Sometimes schedules don't align.
And that's such a hurtful comment to make. Like, I wonder what kind of deep,
right.
insecurity
comes from. I don't even know. I had to, I just ended up blocking the girls who did it intentionally, and moved on. So I don't look at their pages after that. I don't know where they are now or anything really. But I just block my energy and I keep going, because I can't let it take me down a level. Like, I've worked too hard to get, to the levels that I've been at. And and even I've had that happen. Like, I've had to go down a level and, and then like have to kind of get up again. And it's just like, that's frustrating. And I certainly won't do it for like, women who aren't even fully supportive of what I'm really doing and who I really am.
Yes. And I think like this, considering that we're, recording this on April 16th with the full moon, kind of thinking about purging some of these negative cycles that we get into as women. What is something that you are struggling with right now, particularly as a woman, how that applies to womanhood, and what are you doing to work through that?
Yeah, well, I mean, definitely purging. Like, right now I've been in this whole process of like, I mean, just even with the food I eat, kind of, I've been kind of cleansing and purging, but I really realized, like, even especially when I'm in meditation, I feel some kind of like pulling or lower energies from certain friends or certain people. And recently it's called me to be like, you know what, like, even though I've kind of set boundaries, like, I need to really come out and say like, no, this behavior is not okay. And I don't want it in my life anymore. And so I've had to really be firm about like boldly asserting my boundaries, because I wasn't firm in the past, and now it's just like, no more games. I'm not doing it anymore.
Do you think that's an inherently feminine trait, to not be I guess as strong in our boundaries as we should be? That's what I find a lot with women, like in conversation.
And I mean, because also it's just like something that we should learn growing up. Like, it's something that our parents should really, instill in us, but a lot don't, because, they didn't learn it themselves.
Yes.
And it's just so imperative, like, to self-love. Like, it's like this force field around your self-love, like, and that you have to
the plastic, like, bouncy bubble.
Yes. That you have to protect. And I was super disrespected by a lot of women, and I feel like it created blockages in my flow, in my abundance, and because there's also gossip and shade behind my back with that.
Yeah.
And so like for me, the way to clear that air was, well, in this, I feel like just it didn't really, it was just God, because it was just like, I'm kind of shy. I don't like to speak out necessarily, but it's just like lately I've just been called to like, no more. This is done. Need to end this. Speak out, move on, speak out, move on. And just like, that's what I've been doing. And I've been speaking out and then leaving that in the past, and speaking out and leaving that in the past. And each time I like kind of let go of these, situations and things that have happened, not only is it making me lighter and letting go of like baggage and things that never really should have happened in the first place, but it's also, helping other women navigate through similar situations, and then also just like help, because right now, literally we're in a reshaping and reworking of society. And it's like, if we don't speak out and if we're not firm with like what is okay and what is not anymore and what is out of date, what kind of behaviors are out of date and what is not, then, like who really will? Like who is? It's just like, if not now, when? And if not us, who? So I just do it, and it's not necessarily like I want to do it. It's really hard for me sometimes doing it. But I know what the other side is like because I've been there before, and I know it's important to like let go, and I know it's important to detach, and I know it's important to, that's speaking your voice, and to sharing that is a big part of that process. So
it is. And like hearing you tell this story of the negative patterns women fall into in general, I listened to a YouTuber named Sri Akashana, and he talks about manifestation all the time. And he was like, the number one way to clear your vibration is not gossip. Don't talk about other people.
Yeah, which is hard for me.
Yeah, really, is it? I think that's something I've become like so much more aware of over the years. And even that is like something that I am vibrationally like so polarized with. I cannot handle gossip.
Well, not anymore, I should say.
Yeah.
Like, now I have that view for sure. But because I know how completely toxic it can get. But yeah, I'm a Gemini. I talk, we like talk, and we like to like know everything, like hear everything. And so yeah, when I was younger, of course I gossiped about everything and everyone, but also I came from parents who did the same thing, like, and they talked about everything. They talk about me, they talk about, they gossip, and and my family gossip, like my grandma gossips, like everybody gossips.
It's a human tendency, really.
Yeah. And it's weird that people don't see how negative, harmful, and hurtful it can be and can become. So yeah, in the past like couple of years, maybe like the past 3 years, I've really had to like, get a hold on it and be real with myself, be real with my shadow self, like, Brette, where have you been talking, about people? And if you talk about people, it's only just going to come back to you at some point in time. That's just how the law of attraction works,
100%.
And so I knew, it's probably some of the things I faced were because of some of the gossip that I did way back when, but I got a handle on it. And I know now, that it's not, it only sets you back. It only drags back your process, like, and it doesn't propel anything forward.
Definitely. And that's something I think a lot of women listening to this podcast maybe need to hear, maybe they've been stuck in that cycle of gossiping. For me, something that I'm purging with this full moon is just comparison in general. And I've been on social media a lot more lately than I have been. Obviously, as a title holder, like that's one of my number one jobs. And it's been hard, I won't lie, because sometimes you'll scroll through and think, wow, did I do everything that I could do to impact other women around me today? Like this title holder did, or this amazing person, Emma Watson, I love her. She's amazing.
Me too.
Please reach out to us, Emma.
Because I don't really, I took this advice from Manifestation Babe, Catherine Zinkina, her podcast. Like, she was talking about how she doesn't look at anybody else's stuff. Like, she doesn't focus on anybody's social media but her own. And so I've gotten into that flow probably for the past 6 months or so, I'd say, really consistently. But here and there, I will do like a scroll every like blue moon or so. And then I did like the other night. And that's what propelled me to like write a blog post on on just like women and just like this comparison, this cattiness, this shady behavior, because I was just like, ew. After high school, I was like,
yeah, like why do I feel this way? Like,
what is happening? And I was like, I don't want to experience this anymore. So in order to not experience this more, I need to stand up. I need to speak out, and I need to remove, like, I need to move myself out of this nasty energy. And because that's what I saw, a lot of like comparison, and then just, you know, just trying to like push people's buttons, trying to be like, oh, I'm hanging out with these people and blah blah blah, you can't right now, or you're not right now. And it's just like, I don't want to deal with that. Yeah, I don't know. Like, so, and I really needed to be clear that like, now anybody that is not in my life anymore, I'm okay with it. I'm like great with it. My life is wonderful how it is, you know, with
it's meant to be.
Yes. And it's just like some people don't align, and that is okay. It's okay to like separate from people. It's okay to no longer be friends. It's okay to unfollow people. It's okay to mute people, you know. But at this point, I would just really just unfollow, like, because of the way the energy is. It's just like, whoever you don't resonate with anymore, it's okay. We're in completely shifting times. We've never experienced a time such as this in human history. So do you.
Yes. And I need to even follow that advice more. It's something that I work on every day doing me, because I think as a title holder, especially, or even as a business owner, there is so much balance that has to be done. And yes, focusing on you, but also being a champion for others. Like I want to be scrolling through my social media and like commenting on other women's posts,
right.
you know, getting them like higher in their feed. Yeah, and lifting them up. Like I feel like that's a part of my job as a woman in this world, to be a champion for others. But that can be hard sometimes. Like, how do you find that balance personally in your business and your beauty?
Well, lately, the way social media has been, I can say that I haven't been the best at it. Like, I love doing it, but the way people's energy, it's just been so draining that, and I felt like just unappreciated when I did do it in the past. Like, it was just like, I would give so much love to people, and then people would either think I'm like weird for giving them so much love, or like, I don't know, it's just like, or just not say anything. And it's just like, I don't know. So I kind of just like, I had to change my relationship with social media completely. I think like I had to change my relationship with everything else when I came into full and complete mind, body, soul, self-love. You know, I think social media is a piece that I really didn't factor in for a long time. And so like maybe about a year ago, I cleaned out my social media, like anybody that I just don't really talk to kind of on the regular or wasn't resonating with, I just really unfollowed. And I kind of made it bare minimum on my personal account. And then with the STUK account, I had to kind of do the same thing, which took me and Tazeen tag teamed that process, which took forever. But like we reshaped our like following community on there because we had a lot of haters.
I remember that. Yeah.
Iteration going on.
Took forever too.
Yeah. So we had to clean it out. Now it's like, it's more fresh. It feels like I can actually scroll through there and like comment and be positive with women. But we had to like eliminate a lot of people that were following who weren't on that vibration. And now it's a lot lighter. We have more artists. We have more like community leaders. We have advocates. We have teachers, you know. But it's just like, if people are in your feed who are not really feeding you, you know, positivity, light, and good things, like, then you got to just exit it out, end that chapter, change it up.
Yeah, that's a beautiful piece of advice. You know, sometimes
it's hard, mind you.
It's so hard. Yeah. But sometimes it just takes like cutting the cord for you and for that person too.
Yeah.
And that leads me to my last question, really. You know, what is one tactical piece of advice for the women listening to this podcast for something they can do to leave and apply in their life to be that girl, to radiate positivity and to find self-love and a wonderful vibration within themselves?
Wow, that is a loaded question.
It is. But something tactical, something they can do, you know.
Okay, well, the first thing that came to mind was don't quit before it gets easy. Because I think that like a lot of times we're like, that's just the advice that I will say. Because I think a lot of times we think that it's so hard. We think that learning new things is such a struggle, but it's like the more you keep going, the easier it really does get. And I think that like it's a part of that process is a part of like you got to reprogram your mind kind of to do new things, to do new things in a vibration of self-love. And yeah, it is a struggle a lot of times and it is hard. So like I will say that I think investing in yourself is so important with the process. Like invest in spiritual teachers, invest in mentors, invest in leaders. I'm in two Patreons, you know, of spiritual teachers. I have a mentor, you know, I have like an art manager and an art mentor. Like I just surround myself with positive people and like mentorship, because these times are so unprecedented and you never know what's going to happen from one day or maybe 1 hour to the next. And you need support and guidance along this journey. And then because those communities and investing in yourself and other communities and people, it will help you be able to pull yourself back up and to keep getting back up. And then eventually the journey does become easier and lighter and more loving and flowing. But it's like, it's not some like quick fix. It's not some one day thing. Like my journey, I'm on a 10-year journey right now. Like it has been a long time going, long time coming. And it's like, yeah, sometimes I absolutely do want to just completely give up. Like I'm like, nobody cares about self-love and no one cares about art and everybody's just like, is just so close-minded, and I get in these loops of that. But you know, I just like if I give up, what are these girls gonna do? If I give up, you know, what else is there?
If not me, who? If not now,
there's no other nonprofit like STUK Designs. There's nobody
absolutely
doing what we're doing. And the fact that people don't realize that baffles me even more, it spirals me sometimes. But it's like you got to pull yourself out of it, like shake yourself and be like, I can do this, and I can like keep getting back up. Because I mean, I do know that like it does get easier, and I've had a lot of moments in my career of just blissful flow, and where everything is just coming together and just such fun and freedom and, you know, everything flowing in at once. And then there are lows where it seems like nothing is coming in and nothing is moving, but that's just the ebbs and flows of life. And it really is, you just have to fall in love with the journey, and, you know, and realize like, the more you fall in love with the journey, the more you'll be able to just like keep going and get to that point where it is easy, that mountaintop point, you know? So I'd say don't give up before it gets easy, and fall in love with the journey as you're falling in love with yourself, because it's really about just falling in love with these mundane moments and acknowledging them as actually really important parts of the whole picture, of the whole journey. Because like even like the simplest little task, it's like it's a dot along the, you know, in the whole spectrum of the journey. Like it just, you know, and I always say connecting the dots, because like that's how I feel, like that's how I kind of see my success path. Instead of like a line or something, I see it as like all of these dots, and then I'm just like going and connecting all of these dots to kind of, you know, figure out the destination. But there's no final destination, you know, it's just it's a journey. And it's a journey of being able to pour into yourself first, because otherwise you can't do anything, and then being able to just abundantly pour into these other people, and being able to like uplift girls and women at a time when like at a really dark time. We're in some dark ages, you know? And that's, yeah. So that's what I would say. That's my advice. It's kind of all over.
Such beautiful. No, it was perfect and such positive advice. I'm so glad that you talked about mentorship too, because that's something I talk about all the time with I Am That Girl. And one of the facets is that girl supports. And if you can't see someone who is like doing the things that you want to do, like where are you going to find honestly like that positivity inside of you to keep going, to keep going before it gets easy. And you have definitely been a mentor for me. So thank you so much for being on
and
the
you for me,
podcast.
honestly.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's a sisterhood. So
Yeah.
I love everything that we're doing together and the way that we are uniting women. And I hope that everyone listening to this podcast has gotten that awesome girl power positivity that they needed. Brette, where can we find you on social media and on the interwebs?
Well, it's, my IG name is not very creative. It's just Brette Sims, BRETTESIMS at Brette Sims. And that's on all social media platforms, including TikTok, which I've been getting into a lot lately. And then STUK Designs everything is just at STUK Designs, STUK Designs on all social media platforms. We're STUK Designs _ on TikTok, but you can just search it, STUK Designs. And yeah, we're doing some great things. Visit stukdesigns.org to see all the amazing things that we're doing right now. We have 3 podcasts. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. We're bringing women together, and it's time to stand up, speak out, own your truth, walk in your full authentic power. The time is now.
Yes.
Time is now.
And I will leave it on that positive note. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. And I hope that you leave this podcast, go out today and be that girl.